Independent poll shows President David Granger with huge approval rating and Moses Nagamutu as preferred prime ministerial candidate. These and other stories in today's news. It's Thursday, June 13. The results of a recent regional political opinion poll have found that President David Granger still has high approval ratings among supporters of the coalition government and the country as a whole. A political opinion poll conducted by the Barbados-based Caribbean Development Research Services, CADRES, found that the head of state continues to enjoy high approval ratings. Online news agency News Source Guyana said the poll, which was commissioned by the APNU AFC government, was conducted in February this year and fielded questions from almost 1,100 persons across Guyana. According to the findings, President Granger enjoys a 94% approval rating among APNU AFC supporters in terms of his leadership and a 50% overall approval ratings when supporters of the PPP Civic and uncertain voters were added. The poll found that 40% of persons prefer President Granger to handle Guyana's new oil wealth, compared to 24% for PPP presidential candidate Irfan Ali. While the president enjoys good approval nationally and from the coalition supporters, 14% of persons identified as supporters of the opposition approved of his leadership. 40% of uncertain voters said they approved of the president. The president also leads Ali by 12% to 5% in the area of good development ideas, and in terms of being politically savvy, the president again leads Ali by a margin of 4 to 2%. The CADRES poll found that the president remains an asset to the APNU AFC coalition as he continues to enjoy support from supporters of the parties in the coalition and also enjoys good support from uncertain voters. In the summary, CADRES found that the perception that President Granger is weak physically and politically is contradicted by the approval rating that is superior to that of his competitor. In terms of competence, President Granger is voted at 12% compared to Ali at 6%. The president also does better compared to Ali when it comes to being pleasant by a margin of 13 to 3%. In terms of morality and spirituality, President Granger again leads Irfan Ali by 5 to 1%, while in the area of being genuine and trustworthy, the president leads Ali by a margin of 11 to 5%. CADRES is a political research organization that has been conducting political and opinion polls across the region for over 2 decades. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney. Meantime, another poll conducted by the same Caribbean Development Research Services shows that Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu is the preferred prime ministerial candidate in Guyana.
CADRES conducted a political poll in February 2019 that showed Nagamutu surpassed other options presented, which included the Alliance for Change leader, Raphael Trotman, AFC's chairman, Kemraj Ramjatan, vice chair, Catherine Hughes, and member, Valerie Garrido-Lowe. The Guyana Chronicle on Thursday stated that the data collected by CADRES was done using face-to-face interviews on random selection based specific to age and gender, and without bias with respect to the type of house or any other factor. Those interviewed were categorized as a Partnership for National Unity, Alliance for Change, AFC APNU supporters, People's Progressive Party Civic, PPPC supporters, uncertain voters, and all Guyana. The data showed that 20% of all Guyana are in favor of Nagamutu. CADRES conducts political polls and research and has worked with several major political parties and governments throughout the Caribbean. For InfoHub, Rebecca Ganish.
President David Granger on Wednesday evening said Guyana looks forward to strengthening relations with Russia. The head of state was speaking at the reception to celebrate National Day of the Russian Federation.
Guyana looks forward to strengthening its relations with Russia and particularly to the successful conclusion of agreements relating to investments and the mutual recognition of educational qualifications. Our relations have been enhanced through the Treaty on Basic Relations between the Government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the government of the Russian Federation.
The head of state highlighted that the two nations have enjoyed excellent formal and informal relations for over 50 years, noting they are based on treaties, international law, and the maintenance of regional peace and security. Ambassador of the Russian Federation to Guyana, Alexander Kormaz, expressed similar sentiments.
We share common approaches to a number of issues on global agenda and looking forward to expand our cooperation not only on bilateral level but also within international mechanisms.
The event was attended by government officials, members of parliament, special invitees, and members of the diplomatic corps. For Info Hub, Rebecca Ganesh.
Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan is calling for more successful prosecutions following the commissioning of the new building to house the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit.
Minister Ramjatan said the government is committed to providing the unit with the resources it needs to effectively carry out its works. However, with more resources, there must be more prosecutions.
We have to realize that it is important that our monies be spent on personnel and infrastructure and all the other things to get the big gunners targeted and prosecuted successfully. Those are the ones that we're after.
Cutting the profit of those in the drug trade, according to Minister Ramjatan, will drive a knife through the heart of the trade.
This drug traffic trade has as its primary motivation profit. All the literature that I have read have indicated that that is where it is. And if we can do the necessary things to cut the profit out of the trade, catching them, destroying the cultivation fields, eradicating where they're planting the marijuanas, all those kinds of things, will then break it down.
Deputy Head of KANU, Leslie Ramlal, noted that the new building is critical to the work of KANU. Ramlal pointed out that the aim is to end Guyana's stigma of being a transshipment country for narcotics.
Our aim at KANU is to ensure by 2022, and that's the timeline I've given myself, to ensure that Guyana's stigma of being a transshipment country for narcotics is removed. And so in the last 2 years, our position and our aggressiveness is testimony.
Construction of the building cost approximately $42 million and is just one of the many accomplishments of the unit aimed at building its capacity. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Still to come, special education needs students gets greater access to learning facilities and 8 prisoners complete anger management training. Details of these and more after the break.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. This untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travelers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
Welcome back. Students living with disabilities now have greater access to learning facilities geared specifically for them through several educational interventions by the Ministry of Education.
One such intervention by the Ministry of Education is the use of the Regional Special Education Needs Disability Diagnostic and Treatment Center to specifically diagnose the learner's disabilities. This will allow the students to be provided with an appropriate education delivery tailored to their individual needs. This program comes as the Education Ministry continues to make provisions for special education needs (SEN) within the mainstream education system. In this provision, all teachers at mainstream and SEN schools are trained in the delivery of SEN content and approaches. National Special Education Needs Officer Safi Hopkinson told InfoHub that the ministry is making strides to ensure all learners have equal access to educational opportunities.
Students are now able to have their diagnosis so that they can be provided with the right treatment, with the right educational plans to support those needs.
Hopkinson added that private schools also benefit from partnership with the Ministry of Education in relation to SEND programs.
We do not limit our training to only teachers of schools, that fall under the Ministry of Education, but also we would have in our program, we would include schools, private schools as well. Later down the road, we will see having all these in place, that the right supports are put in place within the classrooms and that programs are developed to match those needs so that our students can become more successful.
These initiatives are aligned with the objectives of the Ministry of Education, which are eliminating illiteracy, modernizing education, and strengthening tolerance. Natisha Isaacs for InfoHub.
Muhammad Ali, one of 8 prisoners who successfully completed a 12-week anger management training, expressed that the exercise has influenced him to be a better person.
Ali was one of 8 prisoners from the Camp Street prison to graduate from the training. He believes that he is now a better individual because of the training.
I've noticed that we did a lot of changes and the program carried a massive effect on us. If it wasn't for the director of prison, the officer in charge of the prison, we wouldn't be here a day like today.
Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels noted that in the prison environment, anger management is sometimes the key to survival.
So it is through such training we intend to continue to build capacity so that those persons who have already committed themselves and are sent to be with us for a particular period of time, they will be able to effectively deal with anger-related issues during that period.
He explained that many persons who were once deemed the bad eggs are now advocates for other prisoners to conduct themselves in a respectable manner.
We are seeing a significant change in terms of prisoners' behavior across the prison service because this is a training program that is being conducted at all of the facilities. And in many instances, those persons who were usually aggressors, they are now advocates for persons to conduct themselves well.
Samuels indicated that rehabilitation of prisoners is an ongoing process. He pointed out that with continued infrastructural development, a larger number of prisoners will benefit from the training. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Today we feature the journey of 31-year-old saxophonist Roy Stewart, who, despite visual impairment, is living his dream.
With a guitar builder as his grandfather and a singing maternal grandmother, the perfect atmosphere for a budding musician like Roy Stewart was set from his tender years. Born in Linden, Region 10, but raised in Suriname from the age of 1, he spent 21 years in the Dutch-speaking country before returning to this beautiful land in 2009.
Probably at the age of 4, whilst in devotion, we were singing and I sang a harmonic part. And my mother was like, "Who taught you that?" And I'm like, "Nobody." However, I was hearing it in my head. So I just sang. And from there on, the music thing grew. I loved music, listening to music. I know about the days of LP, when we had, those big round discs that would be played on, the LP player. As a child, one of my friends going to primary school introduced me to a very interesting instrument, you would want to call it, made from coconut branches. And so from there, he taught me how to make it, and luckily I have it with me so you guys could see it. So it looks like this. So this is the little coconut branch journey that started from this to this.
Fast forward about 10 years later, Stewart purchased his very first saxophone from a friend with money he saved from washing dishes, and with the help of another learned how to play.
I had about 5 months of tutoring from Lawrence Gudge, the guy that actually played in church and inspired me. And one day going to lesson, I had the saxophone in my hand, and I was like, yo, I'm going to throw this saxophone in the trench and I'm going home. However, God had it differently. God said, no, this is who I want you to be, and this is where I want you to be. So don't give up, don't quit. So I didn't throw it in the trench that day, and thank God I did not. And I grew and I loved it.
And while there have been many successes for this saxophonist, his greatest success is being able to rise above adversities as an individual diagnosed with macular degeneration. This condition is the leading cause of severe irreversible vision loss in people over age 60. Currently, Stewart resides in Plum Park, Sophia with his wife of 3 years, Tamila, and his 2 daughters, Jasmine and Jamila. Neola Damon, InfoHub.
That's all for today. Connect with us on WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube. Much more news is on our website, dpi.gov.gy, and pop over to Instagram for the latest photo updates at DPI Guyana. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Goodbye.